The world today might feel like a tangled up ball of yarn that is so twisted and knotted, looped around itself that it feels impossible to sort it out. But we can actually move under the surface, underneath in the subconscious, to see the common threads that pull together through many wisdom traditions that will actually help us sort it all out. And today's guest is Jon Rasmussen, who is just a fantastic healer, a graduate of the Four Winds Light Body School, and a Thetahealing instructor, been doing shamanic healing for over 30 years, and personal friend and favorite of mine. And we're going to have a great conversation about how we sort out this tangled mess. Join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Well, hello and welcome back, everybody, to Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably to a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we're doing here on this blue dot in the midst of a whole ocean of stars and what it means. I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird, and today I'm just so thrilled to have Jon Rasmussen on the show with us. Jon, you have been in my life since I took my Four Winds training with Alberto Villoldo, and then I found you somehow and I called upon you because, of course, it says, Jon is a prolific healer. And Alberto said that, and I was like, it must be true. And so I reached out to you and I was like, I need a session because I'm going through this stuff and I don't even know what to do with myself. And I'm a new student and blah, blah, blah. And I just graduated or whatever. I don't know, somewhere along that pattern. And you're such a help. And so I want to just say that today's conversation, I love the theme of today's conversation. We were just talking before we got on the show, we were talking about the theme is common threads. And that Jon, you're working on a new book called Common Threads, and you're almost done. You're almost ready to put it out there, and how you're finding all these common threads between not only the shamanism that we practice through the Q'ero Nation, that's for you guys listening, Q''ERO. And yes, they speak Quechua, so just clarifying language here. But they are in the Andes Mountains, and they have beautiful mesa, also called a misha. And we love our mesas. Our mesas is like our universe. It's like these cloths that are beautifully woven that are like all rainbow colored and gorgeous. And inside of it, you place your universe. So anything you put inside there gets activated in your life, gets activated in your being. It's like this special magic that they offer us. And it's blessed me completely. And so, Jon, you were one of the early students with Alberto. And so you are the beneficiary of probably like the really up close teachings, with the master sort of thing. We could call gurus, but we won't say that. But it's just, we were just talking about gurus before we got on the call too. But I love it. And now I'm initiating people in the Mesa tradition. So to me, it's like really exciting, because I'm back to beginner's mind and listening to the guides and the ancestors from that lineage and just tapped in and listening, like, how do I teach this point? And, in the Mesa, and the reason I love what you're talking about common threads is because in our tradition, in our, what I was called to do is bring all these different threads together, right? So the Himalayan medicine of the I Ching and the gene keys inside the Mesa, the Toltec wisdom inside the Mesa, the Huixatica that I study with in Mexico inside the Mesa, the Shipipo I study with in the jungle with the plant medicines inside the Mesa with the Q'ero. So plus my own Native American indigenous history, plus all my ancestors, right? Because they're all wise. They all have a story to tell. There's just like this idea of weaving it all together. And so I love that you were talking about common threads. And we're going to dive into the conversation, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the Mesa is it's the entire cosmology of the Q'ero tradition in this bundle that not only is ours and our healing, but our wounds, when healed, become our gifts. And then we use that with our clients. And it's this union, this communion through the Mesa with the community. And we both know, we're taught that true shamanism is an open system. And the Q'ero tradition is true, like can't be confused with anything else. I mean, it is shamanism. It's not sorcery. It's not the best of. It's all the good stuff, freeing and empowering, and it's all inclusive. And so because it's open, I did the same thing. I immediately brought in everything else I ever studied into my mesa. It's still in there, all the different symbols and images and things from every tradition, which was virtually all of them, like you as well.
Exhaustive search for truth.
It's normal. Yeah. And it keeps growing because why not? And it's universal, right? And that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier is like my whole thing, my whole life, since I was 4 and had my first death experience and sort of saw everything in real, like the whole universe, it was like, whoa, saw everything that was wrong with the world at that time as well, like the suppression of the feminine and all that. And that became like my main goal to help with. But I started looking at, like, okay, so I'm 5. I think I know everything, which really annoyed my parents, but I really was reading encyclopedias like, yeah. And then when it came to spiritual traditions, religion, all this kind of stuff, and still being like in the Catholic Church at that time as a kid, raised in that, I was like, it's got to make sense or I can't accept it, right? Or I can't accept parts of it. So I began everything I looked at, everything I read, every book, every tradition, every spiritual philosophy and religion, I was looking for the common threads. Like if it's true, then it's got to be universal. It's got to be pretty much the same everywhere. I didn't realize it till recently enough to write a book, but definitely that's been the theme of my whole life, right? Is finding common truths, finding commonalities amongst people, bridging. I was never interested in hanging out with shamans. They already know about shamanism. I hung out with atheists and scientists and talked about shamanism or did it with them and showed them how it worked, And so I think at least that's been the theme of my life, right? Is bridging, is bringing together, is unifying in that way. Don't have to make it all one. You don't have to all join one particular thing, but at least respect and appreciate the truths and the commonalities amongst other peoples, whether it's culture, race, nationality, religion, scientific theories, for goodness sake. You got quantum physicists arguing with Newtonian physicists arguing with guys like Nassim Haramein, you're wrong. But it's like, come on, let's just find out where they meet.
This is why we practice also the Toltec wisdom in the community, in inner medicine community, is because yes, we practice the 4 agreements so that we don't take it personally and that we learn not to make assumptions. And we learn about the power of our word to create reality because our word is literally creating reality in our very cells as we speak. It's frequency, it's coming in and it's creating reality. And so we learn that, but also the 5th agreement of discernment. I've been re-listening to it the last couple of days and it's like, oh, that's right. Everybody's in their own movie. And the idea is that like you're sitting in a movie theater, you're the only one in that theater and you're watching the movie. And the movie is your life. And there's you and you realize you're the main character and there's everybody else and they're like side characters. And then if you get up out of your movie because you're like, this is boring, and then you walk over to somebody else's movie theater, like say your mother's, and you sit down, she doesn't even notice you're there. And you're watching her movie and you're the supported character. And you're watching how she sees herself is completely different than how you see her in your movie.
Yeah. What is it that all perception is projection, right? So basically.
So that's why when we double down, on it, when we just keep doubling down, like, oh, we're right. We're like, first of all, we're not recognizing that everybody's dreaming. We're not even recognizing that we're not sharing the same dream. And we're so attached, right? And that's where the 5 Levels of Attachment book by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., like that really comes in because we're so attached. And the more attached we are, the more fanatical we are, the more we want to make everybody else do it the way we're doing because there's only one way and this is the way. No, and that's where we have all the conflicts and the wars we have today.
Totally. And the wisdom teachings you're talking about, non-attachment and discernment over no judgment. We can't say it's good or bad. It just isn't my thing, or it's not the way I do. It's not what I want to do. That's huge. I mean, that's everything, right? Because that's not only good for community and not having wars, but it's also good for not doing it to yourself, right? It's like if you're judging others and you're saying they're wrong and I'm right, what are you going to do to yourself when you realize you're wrong, or you think you're wrong, or you didn't do it right? Boom. Now you're judging yourself. Now you got guilt, shame, doubt, self-judgment. Now you are 100% susceptible to the dark energies or whatever wants to take you down. You're basically done. And that's been a big thing I've been on lately, is the only way to stay safe from largely unseen forces, I guess you might say, in the non-physical, although they're obviously all over the physical world. It's like discernment. How do you stay away from that crowd versus this crowd? You got to have boundaries. And in order to have boundaries, you cannot have self-judgment, doubt, guilt, shame, because that makes you permeable. It opens up all the protection and says, come and get me. And that's the worst.
It's part of the system, right? It's part of how we learn. And I've learned all these new terms I didn't know recently, like archons. Like I didn't even know. I was like, oh, what's that? And egregores. I was like, what's an egregore? I mean, I didn't even know these. I just knew entity and demon. Okay. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, there's a whole,
parasites.
I mean, it's just as complex or more in the non-physical than the physical. I always have to remind people as many different things we got going on the planet in terms of types of people or whatever, the full spectrum of behaviors and you name it, which we know is part of the theater. It's all got to be here. It wouldn't exist without the contrast. It's like in the non-physical, it's even more, honestly, right? You got beings and things that classes of quote unquote demons that are like from subhuman, whatever rock-like stuff to like super complex. Perhaps people mistake them for alien races or whatever, right? That's a big debate now. Are these actually beings from another planet, or are they what we've always known as the demons, the bad guys, the allies, or whatever, whatever the different names are, the jinn, right? In the Islamic traditions. I mean, different names, different languages for the same thing as well.
But it's still the lesson of discernment. You have to discern what the truth is. And it's a process. Well, we're here to learn. We're here to learn how to discern the truth. So all these things just play into that theme of like learning how to discern the truth. It's not about demonizing the demons, whatever.
No, I mean,
it's like,
it's
that's part of the whole framework. It's
right. And it's hard to do it conceptually with our little brains. Really, I like the teachings that you know them by their actions. In other words, I'm a results person. So you can tell me a whole big story of whatever you do or think you're doing or promise to do. That's great. It's a story. I have no reason not to believe anyone at first. But then you watch the actions or the results, and you go, I don't know if that lines up with what they just said they are. And then you go, okay, well, discernment next is so interesting because what's the old judge the book by its cover thing, right? And it can go both ways. I've seen people that come across like they're the nastiest people on the planet on the surface, and they've got a heart of gold. They give their shirt off their back to anyone. And when it comes down to it, their truth is that the actions would be beautiful, loving, generous, you name it, right? So, I mean, or vice versa, right? So it's like the sweetest, kindest seeming people, and they stab you in the back. You're like, wait a second.
You can see a person, like if they're growing a garden, I mean, this would be like the Q'ero, the Andes version, right? Like if your garden is flowering and growing, then that's proof that you're in Aini and right relationship.
Yeah, that you're doing the right things. Right.
Because things are continuing to grow. Like things could be a wasteland right next door. But
it's the
for
results,
you,
right?
it's flourishing and it's growing. And it's not about like who has the most money or the most status or that has nothing to do with that as like markers of it. It's more like an inner glow, like a sparkle in your eyes, like a lightness of spirit and your willingness to be involved at a deep level with other people. Like the whole framework for assessing is really different than what we're taught in Western conditioning. But we got the messages, but there was a comment, like you're talking about common threads. In the Andes, when you meet these medicine people, they are the most freaking generous people, the most filled with love, munai, like literally anything you want here.
Yeah, the most Christ-like people.
If you want to learn what Jesus was like, go to the Andes.
Yeah, meet the Q'ero. I mean, My recent article is all about that. And there's some of it in the book, although it's much more universal. The book covers many more than just Q'ero shamanism and Catholicism. But yeah, it's amazing. And just to stay on this subject for a second, because I just thought of a story my friend told me, who I mentioned is a lay exorcist, so to speak. I send people to her all the time, and she takes care of that. And I've learned so much from her. And you see this, like, whether you watch Ghost Adventures or any of these, like, really, like, shows that really go after the non-physical and try to document it. And I think they do a great job of it on that show and others. But the trickery. So the demon or the devil or the bad, the dark, whatever you want to call it, trying to, like, take energy from you, take your soul, get you to kill yourself so they can take it. They often disguise themselves as a little girl, or in the case of this Saint Faustina, in the Catholic tradition, it came actually in the form of Jesus and told her, hey, throw away your journal or something like that. And then her boss priest came back and said, how your journaling going? And she goes, Jesus came and told me to throw it away. He goes, that wasn't Jesus.
This is the
what
false,
are you doing?
what they're calling false light, right? Like this is
Well, yeah, that's what it is, right?
light.
But you can tell. So this friend of mine grew up with nuns, and she's working for a church right now and this and that for the diocese. And there is some negativity around it because they're all, that's where they hang out. They're always looking for the high value targets, right? That I've noticed, like the real light bringers are the ones that these little demons are trying to really, because it's a high value target. It's much juicier.
Yeah, well, I know because they just shoved me over in Costco and I broke my kneecap in November.
No, totally. I mean, both of us, our whole lives, they come after us, right?
My knee.
Yeah. So she has this dream, this lucid dream, and all of a sudden this nun's in it. And she knows enough now that she's like, And the nun's like, hello. And she's like, that's not, and the face was covered a little. She's like, that's not normal nun behavior. And so she started running away from it. You see these things, you question it, you get away, or you tell it to go. And the thing started chasing her, going, get back here, And it was like, yep, there you go. Discernment. Don't judge the book by its cover. You can't really tell until they actually do something, what their real truth, motive, intent, whatever soul is, purpose is.
I think this is why you want a really strong lineage to support you as well.
Yes.
Because there's been so many times, John, like I learned to do these healings, right? And there was, before I really started training, or like right in the middle of training, I had a really scary situation in my house, and it was like, and I was trying to get it out, and it was possessing a friend that came in under the influence, and it possessed him and talked to me through him and all this kind of crazy stuff, and was like, I'm going after your son next, and all these threats, and
legit.
If you kick me out of the house, and I was like, I think I probably came to you like, what do I do?
No, I know.
So I worked my way through it. It's not here anymore. Of course, now I have a keen with me, and we have a very strong field of Aini and love because we walk the path, because we do our shadow work, and you have to do shadow work, everybody.
Yes,
like it's required. You have to do
it all.
And when I was doing my healings, I was asking, like, how come all these other people I talked to, I mean, I had that experience, but also I never had like really bad experiences doing healings for people. Like, and I always just take those entities out, and it's like no big deal. And I was like, how come I can do that and other people have problems? And the lineage, during the session, I could hear them easier. And they were like, we keep you on the Rainbow Bridge. And I was like, oh, thank you. So
yeah, we got you. We got your back. I mean, my whole life, I don't know if it's my astrology or what, but I have been a do-it-yourself. I'll do it. I never asked for help. Every single thing I've ever done in my life was, I don't want to bother anybody. I'll do it myself. And then when I got into the Q'ero shamanic tradition and got my training, it's all about the initiation rites connecting you to the lineage, because they're the ones, when you show up, you don't matter. You matter about that much in the session.
It's like not me
at all. And so it doesn't matter if you're in a good mood, a bad mood, whatever, hungover, they will show up and they'll get the work done for your client. I mean, thank God, right? But that's the grace of a lineage. I mean, that's what it's about. Just for free, for grace. They don't expect anything. They're just glad you're the one showing up with your mesa, and they'll be there and they'll get it done from the non-physical. And that's part of the reason, I'll just say it, the reason I've returned also now both the Q'ero shamanism and the Catholic Church, which is kind of like
that's
to a lot of people, including
seem really
me,
different, but they're not.
I still don't know. Yeah. So they're not. They're super simple. When you really understand it, you dive in and like the Gnostic, really try to understand, which I never did before with that. I did it with everything else, but not that. Now that I've done that, now that all makes sense. And not only that, this is a huge team. Probably the number one reason that I decided to go back and kind of take it serious and go to church every week and use it as my shaman session, basically my cleansing, was because of the just significance of power, right? You look at the Q'ero tradition, unbroken lineage, 15,000 years, the star people, the Chaska, the star brother, like it goes beyond what's even fathomable, right? The ones who come through the terror in time, I'm talking about aliens, like Don Manuel Quispe said, we're not interested in the ones who come in buses, the aliens that drive around in spaceships. They're interested in the ones who can come through the terror in time, the real light beings. And so you go, wow, that's powerful. That makes a difference. When people go, should I do this one or that one? It's like, well, how big's the team? And how
how big is the team?
How basically effective are they? I tell people with guides, like if your guides aren't smarter than you, then get rid of them. Like what good is it having a guide, And so people have to upgrade their guides sometimes as they progress in their journey. But the point is like, how good's the team? And then I looked at this Catholic tradition and I went, out of all the Christian, whatever, I am of course, born into it probably for a reason. I go, duh, like why was this shaman born into that? I go, yeah, you can't beat the team. All the angels and saints and obviously Jesus and Mary and blah, 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 and the archangels. And it's pretty rich. It's really rich. And,
have you ever had one of the angels speak in your head? Because I've totally had Archangel Michael. Like the one time I got the voice in the head, I was like,
oh, yeah, it's real.
Like
it's legit. It's legit.
Kind of scared. It was like, you have a life, live it. And it's like,
yeah. No, that's amazing.
That was before my journey started, but yeah.
It's amazing. It's legit and it's huge and it's old. It has its problems. It's had it. Like I said, anything men are involved in,
it's used
there's going to be problems.
Constantine. it's used by Constantine, to control people.
Yeah, there were a lot of those periods where things went sideways. Right.
And,
not good. Right. And they're working through all that and they've made a lot of changes and it's getting better and better, I think. But it's like everything. The guru traditions are the same. You name it, anywhere you go. And I've never been one to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And in this case, the power of the sheer scale and size of the amount of people doing the same prayer. It's like literally like doing despachos every Sunday. That is what I needed. I basically concluded that I need the biggest guns I can get. I need to join the biggest army.
Look what I walk around with.
I know, right? I'm not wearing mine right. But yeah, I love that. It's like
the Wishata call her Tenoncine, but it's the goddess.
The Q'ero call it, right?
Guadalupe, Tenoncine, Mother Mary.
The Q'ero called the Mamacha, right? The Black Madonna, and they called Jesus the Taitacha Templores, the one who makes the earth shake, right? Because when he resurrected, there was an earthquake and all this kind of stuff. That's the other part of it too, is that it's way more universal than we sort of realize, even if you have never had anything to do with that religion, the Catholic organization, religion or whatever, or Christianity for that matter. And then this Chris Bledsoe guy I talked about, who was kind of probably the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Like I was already pretty involved. And then it's like, he shows up with 1,000 people at these conferences and I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he's been in a lot of shows like Expedition X and all this. He's been featured and he's been on a lot of interviews and podcasts lately that I love. And I've shared some of this stuff on my Facebook and everything because it's just so cool. But it's like with regards to the whole alien thing and the whole disclosure thing and all this, him and his daughter have this gift. And I don't know if it's because he's got all this metal in his body. He was shot by a shotgun when he was a kid and somehow survived, but he's still got a lot of shot in his body. And I try to figure this stuff out scientifically. But basically, he shows up and he just connects and communicates. And then now this lady that talked to him that looks like the Guadalupe basically said, okay, I'm going to allow you to share this now, because it was just him for like 20 years. Nobody believed him. They thought he was nuts, talking to demons. The Christians thought he was talking to demons. Everybody else just thought he was nuts. And he goes, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. My family's suffering. I'm suffering. life is a mess. And she shows up and she says, okay, I'm going to allow you now to film and to show other people. So now he shows up and these orbs show up in the sky and they flash. And one came down and actually healed this woman next to him of stage 4 cancer. It was like a total angel. They have images of a child that died, or if you look at the pictures, images of his dead dog. You know, in the Q'ero tradition, when we die, our souls goes into the 8th chakra, just like Horus in the Egyptian thing, the ball above our head, and then goes off dancing above the mountaintops. So it's not foreign to me. It's like, of course, these are the orbs that are the spirits, and some of them probably the angels and the archangels and all the stuff that's been seen and depicted in art since ancient times. And he calls on them and they come, and everybody films them and everybody sees them. And he's been on these things saying, she told me that he thinks it's this Easter, but it could be next year. I realize that we're going to have this big revelation. People call it disclosure. I'm sure, there's all this stuff about, well, then that's going to be faked by the government, blah, 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 a little gray, whatever. But he believes that these things are going to make themselves like seen by thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So they finally go, oh, okay, it's real, which means probably religious stories are real, et cetera, and it'll shift. And maybe it's related to the fact that we're on the verge of, we're in a war, we're on the verge of even more massive potential craziness with nukes and all this. And these things have always notoriously shown up to disassemble the nuclear weapons or what do you call it, disengage them or whatever. So maybe it's related to that. I've been saying lately, aside from all of this, in a lot of my sessions and a lot of my personal conversations, and I'm also tired. I've been at this since I was 4. Like, I'm exhausted trying to get people free and healed and change the world. I thought it was doable 20 years ago. And now I'm like, oh my God, it seems worse than ever. I realize, and then you go climate change, you go, geez, how much recycling do we need to? Well, it's too late. Drumbelow Melchizedek's book, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, written in, 1990 or 80. I can't remember when it was, but it was already too late in 1970. If we all started riding bicycles and stopped using fossil fuels, it was still going to create climate change, right? So what's the only answer then? What's the only thing you can get that you have no idea knowing it's possible or where it might come from? Miracles. So I'm on this big kick of you know what? Do it yourself guys like me, people doing retreats and global prayer. And you've seen all this stuff. It's like, dude, I wrote that book, Dreaming Your World into Being, with a vision for the world back in 2006. I wrote that. And it's like, it ain't happening. So it's like, this is when people get on their knees notoriously throughout history and go, please God, Allah, Dios, whoever, do something. And then they give birth to, Sai Baba. The mother is on her knees going, God, India's a mess. I'm desperate. And she gives birth to Sai Baba, this ultimate, Hindu prophet guy, right? Guru. And then same thing happened with Jesus. Same thing happened with Gandhi, Muhammad. They were all the mothers desperately on their knees going, God help us. And then they gave birth to a prophet. So miracles, right? I think there's a lot of people who, in spite of their do-it-yourself efforts or group efforts, are on their knees right now going, really?
And then we have all of us that are aware of this, right? That came here for this.
Well, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of us that actually came here to support humanity in this part.
But it's hard for us to hang in there. This is what I think. A lot of us know this, and we're still going.
How much is this going to take? It's
yeah. How much more of this do I have to do? How much? Yeah.
But I want to just circle back to you said about the dreaming into being that didn't happen. I actually would argue that the evidence that it is happening is that all the darkness is being revealed. All the stuff that was pieces already happening.
The contrast is becoming obvious so that people can actually reach that point.
See it. They have to.
Yeah, including, really the manosphere, the return of the alpha male,
Please,
the total antithesis.
I don't need a caveman.
The total antithesis to my entire life's work has just gone out the window.
You should see my 81-year-old mother. She's like, oh, God, Lord, I've been fighting this stuff my whole life. So it's like, here's also what I want to say.
So we need a miracle.
We are getting it. I mean, the light is shining, and that's the evidence. Here's my point of view. Here's what I had this revelation in the shower yesterday, which was that I was experiencing the next level of no more debt, right? Like no more debt, no more debt, no more debt. And then I was like, wait a second, karma is debt. Oh, well then no more karma, no more karma. And we know we have like this thing, right? Where like there's no more karma in New Earth, like it's gone. So there's no more karma. Yeah, I like this idea, no more karma. So I was just taking the spirit inspiration to chant that into being through my vessel, right? Like just go ahead and just bring that into being in a small way. And then I was like, wait a second, that means that if I want no more karma, no more debt for myself, then I also want no more karma, no more debt for everybody else, which means that I don't condemn anyone because what you damn damns you back. And that would keep you locked in the paradigm. So what are they doing? The darkness is having these susceptible folks do such heinous things that it's like so hard not to damn them.
Right. But the trick is to this is the point though, right? This is part of the reason why I got back into the Catholic thing, because it helped me remember that when this is what we learned in shamanism, and it's what I've known our whole lives, that individual humans are all born good, capable of good, essentially. Let's just put it this way, or meant to be good in the sense of loving, kind, generous, thoughtful, compassionate, the basics.
You see little kids, they hug each other, they don't.
Yeah. All this kind of stuff. Generally, people want to help other people. And yet these dark forces who thrive on feeding off of souls, and the way that they get to us is where we're getting ourselves. So judgment, doubt, guilt, shame. And so they're going to always have that opening as long as we're judging each other, because if you're judging somebody else, it means you're capable of judging yourself, and you are probably judging yourself. And therefore, it's just a feeding fest for these things. And then, of course, if they can really get a hold of somebody and it doesn't kill them and they can use them, then that person is doing their work. And so we go, oh, that's a horrible person, they're evil. And it's like, no, that's a good person who's been taken over by the same forces in the non-physical that are trying to keep us in this quagmire of constant judgment and doubt and guilt and shame and so on, so that they can just keep feeding. And so it's super important for those of us who know this to at least stop judging ourselves and, of course, others. So I think the trick there is to not go, it's the person that's bad. It's that person is under bad influences. And if they weren't, like the old samurai warrior thing, when they killed their enemy, they would go, prayer in any other lifetime, we would have been brothers. This sort of natural decorum of, yes, we had to fight, we're in warring factions and we're doing our job, but I don't hate you. They never did it out of anger. They would never personalize that. It was more, this is the game we're in, the theater we're in. And then when one wins, they go, this is my brother. So I think we just have to adopt that way of thinking with people across the globe, that the humans are good. What's influencing them might not be. And that's the enemy. Yeah. The enemy is not that person or that country or that religion or that culture or whatever. The enemy is the thing that's using them and me to try and keep at it so that they can feed. Let's attack the real enemy.
I want to piggyback on what you said and say, where does it get its strongest hold is in communities that open up all this spiritual connection, but don't have any protection and don't have any discernment when they're just taught to follow and like guru culture and believe.
Well, they don't do the shadow.
They don't do the shadow work.
They judge still. They seem peaceful and sweet and kind and communal and loving, except for those people over there who aren't us. It's like, oh no, as if you can become a saint. Like, no. You got to do your shadow work. You got to recognize you're no better than them, but you're all good. And you all just stop judging each other and judging yourself and just be cool. You'll do bad things, but find a way to be relieved of that. like I do at Catholic Church confession every Sunday, or in a shaman session,
Or you just have
or
to
in a fire
change.
ceremony,
You have to
or in your
actually
meditation.
change. You can't just do the ceremony though, but you have to actually change.
Well, you have to shed the guilt and the shame and the doubt somehow. This is my whole thing about it. If you can live impeccably and never do a single thing that would make you feel guilt, shame, doubt, or self-judgment, bingo, you win. You're good. The demons can't get you. If you're not capable of being impeccable and you do something
That's like all
that makes you, then you better find a way to be relieved of that. And that's the whole point of Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. It's like, hey, you're going to feel guilty. You all do. Nobody here is impeccably perfect saint. Therefore, you're going to make mistakes. Therefore, let me be the one who takes that from you. And if somebody isn't religious at all and comes to me in a shaman session and we don't talk about religion at all, I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing that for them. They're saying, hey, I really feel horrible about this, that, and the other thing. Remember the wounds? It's the victim, perpetrator, rescuer. It doesn't matter if it was done to you or you did it to someone else. Everybody's experiencing the same pain of the loss, abuse, betrayal, abandonment, neglect, or engulfment. So that's important to understand, right? From the Q'ero perspective, is that whether it was done, in fact, it's much easier for me to be a victim. You could punch me all day long and cool, it hurts, but I'll love you the next minute. But if I did that, I'm reeling in guilt for years. I have a hard time playing that other role. That's just me, but it's like something has to free me of that. So if a person comes to me in the shaman session and says, I'm really feeling like shitty about what I did to my family or the mistake I made in my job or whatever, I go, okay, let's do a little clearing. Let's clear the chakras. Let's do a little soul retrieval. No victim, no perpetrator, no rescuer. Yes, it was a mistake. Yes, it hurt. It hurt somebody. It hurt you, whatever. But you're good now and everybody's okay now. It's the same process. It's basically a kind of giant forgiveness, right? It's let it go, because that's not the problem. The problem isn't that these two people hurt each other. The problem is there's something waiting in the wings to feed off of them for the guilt and shame of it. And that's why.
And it doesn't need to be guilt and shame. There can just be a recognition. Oh, that doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment with my true nature.
That's even better. Ideally.
Simply change. Like I tried this out. I found out that's not aligned with my true nature.
Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore.
So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this other thing.
That's achieving more and more impeccability. But it's also an immediate, what you just described as sort of a viewpoint, a way of living that guilt, shame, and doubt and self-doubt don't even exist, which is even better.
Yeah, it's just like trying things out, seeing how it feels. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's it. You know,
it's the Ho'oponopono thing. Like, I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
I love you. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
Just let's let it go.
And actually, one of my friends is like he's a Hawaiian shaman, and he's like, he's like, the whole Ho'oponopono thing has gotten a little out of context. He's like, but basically it's about coming into right relationship. And that's what the Q'ero is about. It's right relationship. It's like, if you made a mistake, correct it. It's like,
correct it and let
easy.
It and try to do your best. You may make it again, but you know,
we're learning.
The danger, the thing that feeds the enemy is the guilt and the shame and the self-doubt. That's why justice is problematic. Punitive justice, right? Like I wrote this in my book. Restorative justice is nice. The communities that practice restorative justice, where the person steals something, hurts somebody, the village gathers around, sings the song of their birth. We still love you. You're still who you are. We recognize you as the innocent soul that you were born as. Let it go. It's okay. You're forgiven. You know, whatever. Because when you do victim perpetrator, when you do something bad and then people think you need to punish that so they don't do it again, obviously that doesn't work. People, you would keep going back to jail for this thing. So punitive justice really doesn't even work, number one. And number two, it just makes the person doing the punishment also feel bad a little bit. And it just keeps feeding that cycle. And
it's kind of like, for example, some people might be thinking about a person that has a tremendous amount of authority and power that they're misusing. And all of us have a certain responsibility as recognizing in advance as mature people that this would be putting someone outside of their capabilities. There's responsibility all the way around for what's going on in the world today, is what I want to say. And so because we didn't want to have conversations with each other, because we didn't want to talk to our family at the dinner table, because we cut off our families and we refused to talk to them, because we said, those people, I hate them and I'm never going to speak to them again, because we did all those things. Now we're in this situation and that's how we got here. So,
yeah, well, and
we need to practice some skills.
Yes. But what's interesting is you and I having this conversation. This was another big realization I had. You and I, we study. We're like the old Gnostic, like the Catholic tradition is the lay people who just show up, stand up, sit down, do it. They don't understand what they're doing, but they do it because they think they're supposed to and they've been told. And then there's the Gnostics who want to understand why and how and what exactly am I doing and why are we doing this and stuff. And it's the intellectual, right? And there's whole books about this division, this subject. And it's like you and I, we're the Gnostics. We understand shamanism. We understand all these things. We've been spending our whole life studying it deeply. So you and I can have this conversation like, this is the answer. This is what people need to do. And I think we're onto something for sure. And maybe some of our listeners will go, yeah. But these are the intellectuals. These are the ones who can listen to what we're saying and it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about really is that there's a huge part of the population who hasn't spent the time studying what we do or practicing what we practice. And they're just trying to pay bills and make it through life. That's the majority of people, right? So how do you apply something for them that accomplishes the same thing? No judgment, no guilt, no shame, no victim, no And that's kind of why when people go, how could you be in the Catholic religion? They did all this, or they control people and all this. And in shamanism, I don't know if you remember, but there's 100 people in class and they would say, we're going to tell you how to do it. And then wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you find your own way to do it, do it. But don't tell the whole class. Because now you got 100 people doing it 100 different ways, and you can't teach a class that way because it's too confusing. Wait, am I supposed to do that or that? So you teach like the lowest common denominator. Like you go, do these basics, and now shut up and go home. And then folks like you and I will go, yeah, well, I'm going to do it this way.
I'm going to put the gene keys in that thing. I think it'll work. And I'm going to put this in and I'm going to throw it. And it's like, ooh, let's like make a little soup here.
Exactly. And I think this is why in the church and the Council of Trent and all this stuff, they'd say, okay, look, we got to take this book out because that'll confuse the hell out of it. Like that's too intellectual. And you got 90% of the people, they're going to get confused. If that's in and this is also in, then what are they supposed to do? Mary Magdalene says, you don't need the church. Just go to, like I get what Jesus was saying. This is the way I've lived most of my life. It's direct. Just do it yourself. And it's like, she was the smartest of all the disciples. Like she was the intellect. She was the Gnostic and all the rest of them. Peter were like, shut up. Like that's too confusing. Like you can't say that.
Too complicated for me.
Well, I don't understand. How do you know this stuff and we don't? Like, how do you understand? Oh, did Jesus tell you and not us? Like, how do you understand this? So, well, she was just a lot smarter. So she got it. And the rest of them are just like, yeah, I think we're just supposed to accept Jesus as our savior and we'll be good, And
so you see right now is life is doing it though, Jon. Life is literally guiding us step by step, revelation by revelation, painful experiences. We go, no, this is not okay.
But it's the long, hard way, obviously. To you and I, the reason we like Q'ero shamanism is because you can get done in one session what would take people 20 years of doing it another way, right?
We're collectively stepping through it right now. And it is pretty fast. But we got to remember,
90% of the people are just going to take kind of the longer, harder way. That's what I had to come to realization with. Otherwise, I was ready to I'm out, And it's
done with this assignment.
I'm done. And it was funny because it was the same person I was talking about who we were doing some work with each other. The one who was kind of the exorcist type, right? She was a Magdalene, all the good stuff, right? And I let her do a session on me and she goes, yeah, the guides are saying, Jon, that you're good if you want to go, like you're done. And I was kind of that's why I called her because I'm not healthy, hurting. I'm exhausted. I was working 7 days a week for 25 years doing this stuff. And I was like, God, I just don't know. I don't know. She's like, yeah, they said you can go. I'm like, really? That's odd,
So liberating.
If you want, you can just, and I'm like, but they said, or you can just stick around, relax, and try to enjoy yourself. Like, you don't have to, you can just kind of loosen up a little bit on everything. And so I chose that
just
option.
try to have some fun with it too. Like,
well, that's the thing. I chose the latter option, obviously, for good reason. You don't really want to do that to the people you like. People will miss you at least for a couple of weeks.
I'll miss you.
But thank you. So, this was probably more than 10 years ago, right? And it was like, yeah, I'm going to stick around and just try and make the most of it. I'll still do the work, and I still do the work, and I still care, and I still would love to see the miracles and the changes. And I want to live a lot longer, to be with the ones I love, and to have fun and watch all this stuff happen. But what was I saying that about? Anyway, it was to recognize that, to relax, be patient. I was projecting. I was assuming that everyone on the planet had the same intellectual curiosity I did. And if I just put the stuff out there, everyone would read it and go, oh, okay, that makes sense now. We good. We don't have to do wars and battles, and we can treat women well again, blah, put women in charge, blah, blah, like, we get it. That was like very naive. Because I think about 100 people got it. And that's about, maybe 1,000 followers, or whatever. But it's like, so now I really get it. It's like, oh yeah, there's a reason to do things in a way that don't have to be intellectually completely grokked, but are still valuable. Like, if guilt is a problem and you don't understand, people don't understand what you and I just said, like, why feel guilty at all? Why not just, no, I'll do better? And
that's even a problem right there, but okay.
But you know what I mean? Like, well, right. Because it's, where's the fine line between?
That's narcissism. That's like,
exactly.
Why do I even need to be sorry about that?
This is the razor's edge. That's why it's
the
hard.
Razor's edge, because you do need to feel.
They misunderstand us. Like, as many people misunderstood me.
It's such a skinny branch. If you did something horrible and you don't feel anything about it, then that means you're sociopathic and narcissistic. Yeah. But if you drown in that guilt, then that is not
so
okay.
Feel bad and then find a way to get rid of it. Right? I mean, it's the razor's edge. And that's why there's a long-standing tradition of, I know I keep going back to the Catholic thing, but now, like, I'm into it now. So it's like the Jesuits, they were always the intellectual monk. They were the ones who do the astronomy and the astrology, and they were the renegade group of Catholics that were like super intellectually. They'd read the I Ching, right? They're the ones who went to China and went, not like, oh, that's pagan or let's not read it. They're the ones that'll look at all of it. That's like us. Like, we will look at everything. I will look at everything. I will understand it. I'll dive into it. I'll even practice it. I want to know its results. I want to know the truth of it. I'm not going to just wholeheartedly go, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I listen. And the Jesuits are like that. And it's funny because Pope Leo, the new Pope, I think he was a Jesuit, right? And he was on his mission in Peru. He spent a ton of time in Peru. And they show him doing a despacho ceremony, a Pachamama ceremony. And all these Catholics are up in arms. He's sort of like, this kind that are like, yeah, that's bad. And they're like, he's doing a pagan ritual. He's worshiping idols. And it's like, no, if you understood intellectually that has nothing to do with worshiping idols, it's being grateful to the earth for, feeding your children. But it's interesting because that's the misunderstanding, is that there are those who actually will go to other people's ceremonies, learn about it, understand it, get it, and then share. I'm sure he told them about Catholicism after the despacho, like, hey, these are similar, and you come to my church. I went to your thing. You come to my, like, I'm sure that's what he was doing. But it gets misunderstood. So people look at what we do and the things we say, and they go, wow, you're just trying to support the feminine because you just want to get some, you just want more girlfriends or something. It's like, no, that's not it. I know I'm a man, but I can't, I wish I was born a woman. But anyway, it's that kind of thing, right? So you can't do much about that other than keep on keeping on and try not to preach to the choir, I guess. That's the thing about bridging, is like, I'd much rather be in a room full of people who are challenging everything I say and giving me a chance to try and explain it. And maybe they'll change my mind. I'm even open to like, whoa, I was wrong about that. Then a bunch of people just going, yeah, I get it. Because they're already get it. What's the point?
That's the strength of your own knowing that everything perfect. When I've had those tests and I've had so many of them, growing students and growing this community where it's really important that we leave space for everyone's perspective to be included.
Totally.
And to be honored, and there to not be any sense of like, oh, you're wrong about that or what. No, there's none of that. There's no, you're wrong. None of that. So it's like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Let's be with that. Let's see how that feels in the body. Let's, let's breathe that in. Let's just sit with that for a little while. Let's contemplate on that. And let's see how that fits in. And sometimes there's like an alchemy that happens in that process where it transmutes some energy and it actually can clarify things for the collective, which is so beautiful. So that's why, we're in curiosity, because we also know the fifth agreement of discernment, which is that you don't know what you think you know. You just think you know it because you think you know it, but you don't really know what you think you know. And if you get into too much certainty, you shut down the mystery, and the mystery is really all about awe and wonder and delight. And so you want the mystery because it keeps teaching you. And so if you're too fucking closed down and stuck on something, then you're not going to learn. And then it's all like boring. And
it's boring, right? I'm excited by the things that I know I don't know, and the things I don't know I don't know. I mean, I know this much, and I enjoy talking about it and sharing it with people who want to know it too, or whatever. But I'm super excited, especially now. I know there's conspiracies and there's social media mayhem out there around all this stuff, but I have to say, I really look forward to more of these mysteries coming to light, or more of the unknown coming to light. I always wanted to see things I wasn't supposed to. What's behind that closed door? What's in that file? Because it's stuff I don't know. And the exciting thing is getting to know it. And then once I know that, now I know this much. There's still that
infinite amount to know. And
infinite amount, right? Yeah. So that alone is worth the price of admission. That alone is worth hanging around and seeing what's going to pop out next, and that's what I love about this Chris Bledsoe thing and all these things. It's like, let's see if he's right. Let's see what happens. Maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe it will be like some of the movies we've seen where this race shows up and goes, "We're your God." And it's like, oh, really? Oh, geez. I had a whole different idea of what that was,
Yeah. Exactly. We're the ones. It's like the Wizard of Oz. We're the ones behind the curtain.
Yeah. I mean, and to stay curious, stay open, stay in a good attitude. I think the strength that I have is that my attitude is whatever it is, I'm okay with it. In other words, I'm easy. I'm game. If it turns out that the whales jump out of the water and go, "We've been watching you guys all along. You're just our experiment." I'd be like, "This is amazing." Some group of aliens comes and says, "We're just harvesting you." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll go ahead. Hope I make a good chop steak or whatever." But it's like, I think that's important, right? Because the people only they go into fear, right? Because there was that one movie that I'm kind of thinking about and referring to as a story. It was like based on a loose true stories in Alaska about these alien abduction visitations that were basically like the Anunnaki or the Sumerians. And they were showing up in people's houses, this Sumerian god going, "I'm your god. I'm the one your religion is talking about." And these people, they couldn't handle it and they killed themselves and their families. That truth, that revelation was so devastating to their entire belief system. I'm not like that. I understand that, I watched enough Ancient Aliens probably to understand that, like, it's a great show, by the way, right? That it's like what people thought were like in the Upanishads, right? The Mahabharata, like people thought were the chariots of fire and the great battle in the sky were probably actually spaceships. And I get that perception is based on your current situation. So I get stories like the biblical stories or really any historical stuff was written and perceived as they could understand it at the time. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the spaceship comes down and goes, this is Valhalla, right? This is what the Vikings were talking about. I'm Thor, I'm the thunder god, and I'm an alien from Arcturus or something. And you go, oh, okay, cool. Wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
But no, I'm not, but that's unusual. I think a lot of people will be bothered.
I think that we're and that's why discernment, again, back to that theme, is that's why that's the lesson, because we're learning how to discern the thoughts in our minds and the stories we've been told and what we believe is true, even with like ancestry, like we have family stories and you try to go prove it and it's like, where is it? So there's so much for us to discern. And that really is
Does it feel good? Does it bring love and compassion, or is it?
Right. It's like that's a process of moving through the discomfort and the distortion and the disorientation to come back and reorient in a more true aligned place and accept, right? Practicing acceptance, like what is there? What is actually true? And so I think we're coming into what is actually true, not what we thought was true, but what's actually true. And that is exciting because I'd like to know what actually is true.
Right? I mean, that's all I care. Like, I just want something to show up and go, this is actually what's been happening.
This is legit. Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't like
cool,
it. Cool.
That's what I thought. Or, wow, I didn't see that coming. Like, either way, like, huh.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll adjust, so.
Yeah. Just, it is what it is,
I'd rather know it's true than be living in delusion. So,
well, yeah. And we both know that our soul is who we really are in the physical body. We know enough to know that this theater at this particular time and space is this tiny, tiny, tiny thing relative to all time and all space. And when you go non-physical, it's like waking up from a dream going, oh, this is the reality. Okay, this is cool. Like, I'm much more free here and I can move through time and space and it's beautiful and it's fun and whatever. And so whatever it is, at least I've still got that. Like, in other words, if somebody comes and says, well, we just put you in bodies to harvest you and you're really just like, it's the Matrix, your battery sitting in a vat of fluid and you're running our program. It's like, okay, great. Well, I'm either good staying in it or you can take me out and I'll, like go to what was there in the Matrix, Zion, the thing underground that didn't look very fun, but whatever. I'll go there and it's like, or I'll just go non-physical and I've been there before and it's like pretty cool. I can just go anywhere or go to black. With like some people think you just die and you're just all, it's gone. It's like, okay, that's fine.
But like worrying about it that's just wasting life energy because you can't
worry about stuff you don't know.
Probably can't change that. So
no, you can't. You can't do anything about it.
You can't really
anyway.
Predict it or change it. So it's kind of more about being present in the moment with what is actually happening and not what's happening in your mind.
Yes.
But like what's actually right now physically occurring in my life is I'm sitting at my desk and there's beautiful trees outside and there's sunlight and there's some wind. I can see it. It's a really beautiful day. It's peaceful in my neighborhood. There's just real quiet.
One of my gurus
That's my reality right now.
Yeah. One of my gurus used to say, you can only tell the truth of your own experience.
I know that other people are experiencing different things, but this is mine and this is what I'm experiencing. So yeah. And that's okay. So yeah.
Totally okay.
Getting down to that and accepting that everyone's had a choice on what they're creating in their environment and their world.
We know 5 people could witness the same thing and have 5 different experiences of it from horror to bliss. So there's 5 different truths for every event. And you get to choose, ideally. Which one, you want to laugh or you want to cry or do you want to scream or do you want to run or do you want to embrace it? I'm not immune to fear in the right circumstances, but I love the feeling of wonder and excitement at any eventuality. I will be smiling and laughing and going either, oh, I thought that was it, or, oh, I had no idea that was it, no matter what happens. Spaceships, nuclear bombs, alien harvesting. Like, I don't really care. I'll just be like, wow, this is it. Cool. See ya. Whatever. But I've had the luxury of dying physically a bunch of times. So that makes it easier for me.
Yeah, because you've already felt that transition.
Yeah. So, that's just me. But you got to hold everybody exactly where they are. And I enjoy being a comforter when possible and holding space for people who aren't going to have a good time with that. Right? For people who are going to be terrified or are going to be shocked. I mean, because I think that's the most interesting part of all of this is, right? What are people disclosure? What are people going to do? Is it going to be mayhem? Are they going to just lose it and just go nuts? Or
they already are.
Whatever. Still got to go to my job tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, most history is the lab. People think it's going to be madness, but you know what? Think of like World War II, London was being bombed daily, nightly, I should say. People would, spend the night in the bomb shelter, wake up. If the neighborhood or the house was still there, great. They'd go to work. If their building was still there, they'd go into their office. Day was over, they'd get back home, go in the bomb shelter. And they got used to that. I think humans generally, we underestimate the ability for humans to be able to handle adversity. And I don't think if there was this disclosure or nuclear war, any of these Armageddon post-apocalyptic scenarios in any way, would people actually start being vigilantes and just go around, shooting other people and looking for food. I honestly think people would be like, all right, let's just try and stay as normal as we were before as much as possible and keep the routine.
I think people will pull together and figure out ways to help each other.
Things are never as bad as prophecy seems to, or
it's sure motivating to make change, though. So let's see if it works. But
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any contrast is motivation to make change, right? You go,
yep.
People got to hit rock bottom. They got to feel enough pain and then and that's okay.
I think we're getting very close. So your projections matched with what I also heard. So I'm feeling better about that. Not that I need to be validated, but it is validating. So
it's interesting, right? I love these conversations because it's interesting.
It is. I hope everyone's enjoyed this conversation. And, I just want you guys to know that we do want to hear from you. So I'm always asking people, Jon, to leave comments and tell us what they thought. And hardly anybody does. So I'll just say it again, please leave comments and tell us what you thought, wherever you saw this, and let us know what you think and what you think is going to happen, or any part of our conversation that touched you, that you enjoyed, or that opened up something for you, or maybe even triggered you, oh, I don't like that at all, So just engage. Give us some of yourself.
And for me, there's nothing more than I like than being asked something. I've always said this, ask me a question, email me, ask me a question, because in the way I work, I basically channel the answer. It doesn't really come from a low, right? And so I'll be answering and hearing it myself, and then I'll go write it down because I'm like, damn, that's really good.
Me too.
So unless somebody's asking, I don't get to have that happen. I literally beg people, ask me stuff so that I get to experience the answer too. And
and definitely book a session with Jon too. I'll put your website in there so people can check you out on the website. But he's a really good healer. So he's really, really good. You guys should check him out, and check his first book. I enjoyed your first book. That was great. So go check that out.
Thank you.
Maybe there's more of an audience for it now. And I look forward to your next one. Again, Common Threads. It's going to be coming out soon-ish. So we'll circle back later, maybe after you publish it, and talk a little bit more. Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate this. I love time with you anyway. And
likewise.
Now I get to share it with everybody, our conversation. And that's really cool too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I want to share this good stuff.
Fun. All right. Well,
thank you, Carrie.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jon. Appreciate you. And just subscribe, share, you guys, and comments. Let us know what you thought. We want to hear. And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show, everyone. Bye for now. If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, Nectar Show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are.